die, monster! You don't belong in this world.
It was not by my hand that I'm once again given flesh. I was called here by humans who wish to pay me tribute.
Tribute? You steal men's souls and make them your slaves.
Perhaps the same could be said of all religions.
Your words are as empty as your soul. Mankind ill needs a savior such as you.
What is a man? A miserable little pile of secrets. But enough talk. How about you?
Hey everybody, Smarty Spy Rookie, aka Mr. Germain here again, and now I want to bring you guys the 7th of 9 decks I've recently finished. This is my Camula / Castlevania Symphony of the Night inspired vampire deck. Because of things like Castlevania, I've actually become really fascinated by just a lot of things to do with vampires, I guess. I just find them just really cool now. And a lot of the new vampire cards just really interested me enough to build this deck. So I'm gonna start with probably my favorite vampire, and one I consider the boss of this deck, if not just the centerpiece. Vampire Vamp. She's actually a succubus. She has 8 stars, so she takes 2 tributes, and you see the blood red moon in the background there. She has a very nice bed, actually, and as for her fact, she has 2,000 attack points, 2,000 defense points. She's dark, obviously. Oh, sure. What can she do? Well, once per turn, when she or another vampire monster is normal summoned to your side of the field, you can target one face monster your opponent controls with higher attack than her and equip it to her. I suppose that kind of simulates her sort of eating her prey, I guess. And I just noticed this really awesome rainbow effect on the card. I don't know if I can get it to show up that cool. But I actually didn't know this card had that kind of effect on it. This card gains attack equal to the combined original attack of the monsters equipped to it. And it appears she can actually be equipped to multiple at once. So, kind of like manga relinquished, I guess. So, yeah, really powerful effect. And if she's sent to the graveyard or equipped with a card, you can re-summon her from the graveyard. So that's really nice. I really like her. She's really pretty, in my opinion. If you don't like vampire girls, you do you, I guess. For a long time, this monster coming up was my favorite vampire monster, actually. Patrician of Darkness. Classic vampire zombie monster. I'm not really proud of this, but I didn't really know how his effect worked when I was a kid, so I I used his effect basically to kind of like an ancient lamp to force my opponent to attack his own monsters instead of mine. Now that I'm a little wiser, I guess, I now know that he can't do that with his effect. But yeah, Patrician Bird is one of my all-time favorite vampires or zombies, whatever you want to say. It has a nice 2000 attack, just like a vampire vamp. And he only takes one tribute to be summoned. Next is another one tribute monster. She has 600 attack and 2000 defense. She's a vampire Fraulein, also very pretty. Looks like she's going for like a stroll at nighttime, I guess. Maybe it like bite somebody, I guess. I don't know. What she can do is when an opponent declares an attack, you can special summon a card from your hand defense position. And once per battle, if a zombie monster battles an opponent's monster during damage calculation, you can pay life points in multiples of 100 at max 4,000. And your battling monster gains attack and defense equal to the life points you paid during the damage calculation. And at the end of the battle phase, if this card is destroyed, if this card meant to destroy a monster by battle, you can special summon the monsters it destroyed to your side of the field, which I guess sort of mimics a vampire, like herding its victims also into vampires. So maybe I wasn't too far off saying she's out to like bite someone. Next is the level 5, 2000 attack, 1400 defense, Vampire Crimson. I think this card's also a female, which is interesting. I really like female vampires, if that's the case. Yeah, she got a nice scythe here, some nice red wings. Kinda like, if you guys have seen my favorite anime series, Zatch Bell, my favorite, or one of my favorite characters, Radiox, actually, is not confirmed to be a vampire, but he has like wings just like this, and he can shoot out like blades, like darkness from them. So that's all I really need to classify him as a vampire. So yeah. What Vampire Crimson can do, if a monster you control will be destroyed by battle or opponent's card effect, you can pay life points for each monster that would be destroyed instead. But the downside is you have to protect all the monsters that will be destroyed if you use this effect, so that can be kind of costly. At the end of the battle phase, also, if this card destroys a monster by battle, you can special summon any monsters she destroyed to your side of the field. So again, mimicking the whole like vampires turning their victims also into vampires. A lot of the vampire monsters have this ability. Now we get to another one of my favorite vampires. This one looks to be, I don't know, kind of inspired by, if this is the case, I like this card a lot. Looks to be inspired by like the legend of like Sleepy Hollow or like the Headless Horseman, and in the background of this horse, you can see the Blood Red Moon. You can also see on the back of Vampire Crimson and Vampire Vamp's artwork too. This card is a nice 2400 attack points, only 1000 defense though. And its effect is, once per turn, you can pay 1000 life points and target one monster your opponent controls and another vampire monster you control, and you swap control those monsters. And at the end of the battle phase, if Vampire Red Baron destroy monsters from the battle, you can special summon them from the graveyard to your side of the field. I really enjoy that the vampires have this control theme to them to make summoning their bigger monsters a lot easier. It's really nice. Next is another level 6 monster. 2,200 attack and 2,200 defense. It's Vampire Scarlet Scourge. Off punch, I guess. Actually, first I was convinced that this card was based off either the main character from Symphony of the Night, or it's the main villain from Symphony of the Night, but that's actually Vampire Hunter and Vampire Voivode, respectively. But I think this card might still have ties to Symphony of the Night. But yeah, he's still pretty cool, even if he isn't. What Scarlet Scourge can do is, if this card is normal or special summoned, you can pay life points. You pay 1,000 life points and target one vampire in your graveyard. Special summon it, but it can't attack this turn. You can only use Scarlet Scourge's effect once per turn. And at the end of the battle phase, if this card destroyed any monsters by battle, you can special summon them from the field, from the graveyard to your side of the field. So again, yeah. He has a pretty nice effect in addition to the typical vampire effect, as we've seen. Next is the card that's based off the protagonist of Symphony of the Night, Mr. Die Monster. You don't belong in this world. Vampire Hunter. I decided to put him in here just because Castlevania. And that's good enough for me. Even though he actually works against the archetype. You can see the castle actually in the background, and some bats actually. The mood isn't really blood red in this artwork, so that kind of stinks. But yeah, he's a warrior. 1600 for both his stats. And at the start of the damage step, if this group battles a dark monster, you can destroy it. So yeah, it's kind of the antithesis to this whole deck, but I don't know. I put him in there over Vampire Dragon and Vampire Koala. So yeah, just because I like Castlevania. Next is the head vampire himself, Dracula, basically. Vampire Voivode, Mr. What is a Man, Mr. About Secrets. He's not the strongest monster in this deck, actually, but it takes 2 tributes to summon him. He has 2,800 attack points though, 2,100 defense. His effect is, if this creature is normal summoned, you can target up to 2 monsters in your opponent's graveyard, special summon them to your side of the field in defense position. Their effects are negated. So yeah, he can steal a bunch of monsters from their graveyard and make it easier to get out. You know, some of your other bigger monsters too. Tribute on this, which is pretty ironic because in the Castlevania game he speaks of tribute, I guess. So that's just a little fun thing I noticed. When a monster's effect is activated, while a monster with the same name is in the graveyard, you can negate the activation. So if your opponent has like multiple of a card or something, and another one is in the graveyard, you can use Voivode's effect to just put a stop to it. Also, if a monster is special summoned from your opponent's graveyard, you tribute 2 monsters and special summon this card from your graveyard. So, yeah. Pretty nice, I guess, sub-boss of this deck. I guess, onto the real, I guess, boss of this deck. In my opinion, none of them can beat out Vampire Vamp. That's like the centerpiece of this deck for me, I guess. Vampire Genesis at 3,000 attack points. He can't be normal summoned or set. He has to be summoned by from your hand by banishing a vampire lord you control. Once per turn, you can discard a zombie to your graveyard, then target 1 zombie in your graveyard with a level less than this discarded monster and special summon it. So, I don't know, if you discard Voivode, you can summon like a vampire vamp. Vampire Justice is pretty cool, I guess. Next is the aforementioned Vampire Lord. I really like his artwork, or her artwork, I'm not really sure. But yeah, Seto Kaiba and Camula actually use this card. I'd like to think, actually, that Kaiba used it a bit better. This card mirrors like other aspects of vampires, actually, in that it really can't stay dead. When Vampire Vamp inflicts damage to your opponent, they have to you get to declare monster magic or trap, and your opponent selects 1 card from their deck of that type and sends it to the graveyard. And as I mentioned, if this card is destroyed by the opponent's card effect, it comes back like immediately in your standby phase. So yeah, Dark Hole, cards like Earthshaker, Fissure, it's kind of useless against Vampire Lord. Vampire Lady, 1550 for each of her stats. She's a nice level 4. So she can actually be normal summoned. She lacks Vampire Lord's resurrection ability, but has his other ability. So, yeah. uh, compliments of Tilla Mook in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Manga. Vampire's Curse has a he is level 6, has a nice his stats are basically the same as Dark Elf, other than level. And when he's destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can pay 500 life points and special summon him during your next standby phase. And if you do, he gets a permanent 500 attack point boost. Also, the fact you get him back, like you can get him back, like at the cost of like paying life points, um, makes like tribute summoning on your turn pretty easy. If you feel like just sacrificing a 2,500 half life monster, at least I know other vampires have like better effects than him, I guess. So, and also, the cost of paying life points for most of these vampires with X, as some people have pointed out, I agree in that I can see it as like paying blood for a vampire's effect because vampires like suck out blood. So I really like how they kind of like, if that was intentional, I love how they did that with life point cost for their effects. Next is one another level 5 monster, Shadow Vampire with 2,000 attack and 0 defense, unfortunately. He can't be used for XZ's summoning, except the summoning of a dark monster, which is no problem for this deck. Might be a problem in tag duels, I guess. When this goes normal summon, you can special summon one dark vampire from your hand or deck, which is pretty awesome. But no monsters you control besides the summoned monster can attack for the rest of the turn. So that's kind of unfortunate. Now we get to more Nosferatu-inspired vampire. Oh yeah, I don't know if I mentioned about vampires. Kirk's also has the blood red moon in the back of his artwork, which is awesome. Next is Vampire Duke. The blood moon in the back also. Uh, he has the same XZ summoning like limit as Shadow Vampire does, but that's no big deal for this deck. When he is normal summoned, you can target one vampire monster graveyard special summon defense position. And when Vampire Duke is special summoned, you can declare one type of card, and your opponent sends one card of that type from your deck to the graveyard. So he basically has a Vampire Lord's effect, but it activates on his special summon. So yeah, it's pretty nice. Next is one copy of a card I really wasn't sure if I wanted to add. So I wasn't really sure of her origins, but one copy of Vampire Grace. She has a nice 2,000 attack and 1,200 defense. She's level 6. Her text is kind of small. When a level 5 of her zombie monster is special summoned to your side of the field by the effect of a zombie type monster while this card is in your graveyard, you can pay 2,000 life points and special summon Vampire Grace from your graveyard. Once per turn, you can declare one type of card, and your opponent sends one card of that type from their deck to the graveyard. So she has the her second effect is the exact same thing as Vampire Duke. Just a summon, like, activated version of Vampire Lord's, like, damage effect. I don't know what I prefer more, actually. I think I prefer Vampire Lord's effect because you can do it whenever you want. And not just like a one-time thing. One Red Moon baby / vampire baby. It's just a really cool, creepy looking card with, again, the blood moon in the back. I actually don't know. I don't really remember what the significance of the blood moon is for, like, vampires. I'll have to look that up if I ever, like, get the opportunity to, like, either play Castlevania, watch the series, or, like, like, check out any, like, other vampire movies, like, or, like, read Bram Stoker's Dracula finally. Anyway, what Vampire Baby can do is a monster destroyed by this card can be special summoned in attack or defense position at the end of the battle phase to your side of the field. He only has 700 attack and 1000 defense, so unless you can, like, boost him up with, like, like Vampire Kingdom, but that's only 1200. I guess Vampire Fraulein's effect actually can help him pretty good. Yeah. If you use, like, Vampire Kingdom, Red Moon Baby, and, like, Vampire Fraulein together, you can, like, get something going, I guess. Next is 3 copies of the Vampire Sorcerer, because he's pretty important to this deck. He's actually, like, a wizard inspired, I guess, which is interesting. I like his blue hair and his staff and, like, the red orbs everywhere. Kind of sick, not gonna lie. But yeah, his effect is super helpful. He has 1500 for each. Yeah, he's level 4, so it made sense for me to, like, triple him, and because of his effect, which is if this card you control is sent to your graveyard by a card your opponent controls, you can add 1 Dark Vampire monster or 1 Vampire Spell Trap card from your deck to your hand. And also, this is the key effect. You can banish this card from your graveyard and target 1 Dark Vampire. You can banish it from your graveyard, target 1 Vampire monster, and normal summon it this turn. Yeah, I'm gonna reread that. I got, like, confused for a second. You can banish this card from your graveyard, and 1 Dark Vampire monster you normal summon this turn can be summoned without tributing. So, a really good way to get your higher powered vampires out, like Fraulein, Vamp, Genesis, Red Baron, Scarlet Scourge, Voivode. Next is 3 of Vampire Familiar. It's a bat. Need I say more? I originally was going to use 3 copies of Dark Bat or Meta Bat in this deck. They don't have effects, though, so when I found out there was actually, like, a vampire bat that actually existed, even though it isn't the actual vampire bat card that Camilla used, and its effect is pretty different, I was really happy. So, 3 of them just to, I don't know, kind of to represent Camilla, I guess, having multiple vampire bats in her deck. Um, Has 500 attack, 0 defense, 1 star. If this card's special summoned, you give it 500 life points, add 1 vampire from your deck to your hand, except Vampire Familiar. So that's pretty nice. If this goes in your graveyard, you can send 1 vampire card from your hand or face up on the field to the graveyard and special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. You can only use each effective vampire familiar once per turn. So yeah, he can like get himself back as a special summon, like tribute something easier, and you can add a vampire to your hand when he's special summoned. So all around a really good card. Next is just a card to. I was originally going to actually put either Gene Warped Werewolf or a Ghost Trick Werewolf in this card's place, but reason I didn't use Ghost Trick is um, I didn't like have any other Ghost Tricks, so like using it would have been pointless. So in this place we have Plague Wolf, 1000 attack, 1000 defense. He's level 3. His effect is I put him in here because of just to have something to, I guess, substitute for a zombie werewolf. This card doesn't have like the regenerating like capabilities of zombie werewolf, but it does increase its attack points like zombie werewolf did. Uh, Only difference is Plague Wolf like self-destructs itself, but it doubles its attack instead of like, you know, a 500 point increase. So yeah. Next card is the very Monokuma-like Vampire Rotator with 1200 attack. He's level 2. It's punishment time, I guess. Vampire Retainer's effect is if he's special summoned, you can pick 500 life points and add 1 vampire spell or trap from your deck to your hand. This goes in your graveyard. You can send 1 vampire card from your hand or face up on the field to the graveyard and special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. So, I don't know, he does basically the same thing as Vampire Familiar, if I'm understanding this right. Next card is, I don't know, tell me this card doesn't look like Nagito Komaeda from Danganronpa. Vampire Ghost, 3 stars. His effect is, if this card is normal summoned, you can send 1 other vampire card from hand or face up field to the graveyard and add 1 level 4 or a higher vampire monster from your deck to your hand. And if you do, you can send 1 level 2 or lower vampire monster from your deck to the graveyard. During your main phase, you can banish this card from your graveyard and pay 500 life points, and immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon 1 vampire monster. So, yeah. I don't know, his effect is pretty nice in, like, sending a monster to the graveyard for a special summon later, and also, like, giving you, like, an extra normal summon. Last monster is 1 copy of Bloodsucker. If he inflicts bow damage, he mills the top card of your opponent's deck to the graveyard. He's level 4, 1300 attack, 1500 defense. I just put him in there just because, I guess. I think there was actually an anime in Castlevania, Symphony of the Night, kind of similar to him. Yeah, that's all for the monsters, in the main deck at least. Next card is the very cool looking 2 copies of Vampire's Domain. What this card does is. Oh, actually, you can see Vampire Crimson on this card. I wonder what she's planning. Something naughty. Naughty. Once per turn, you can pay 500 life points during your main phase. This turn, you can special summon 1 vampire in addition to your normal summon, even if this card leaves the field. You can only use this effect once per turn. So that's really nice, giving you an extra normal summon for your vampires. And each time your vampire monsters inflict power damage to one of one's life points, you gain that same amount of life points. So, I don't know, losing life points because of the vampire's effects, needing to pay life points, isn't that big of a deal because of Vampire Domain, I guess, and since I have 2, it's pretty easy to get out. Next is 1 copy of Vampire's Desire. This card has 2 effects, but you can only activate 1 of them. First effect is you can target 1 face monster you control and send 1 vampire monster from your deck to the graveyard with a different level, and then the targeted monster's level becomes the same as that sent monster until the end of the turn. So he can make like the synchro summoning in this deck, synchro XZ summoning in this deck like a bit easier if you play it right. The second effect you're able to activate is you can target 1 vampire graveyard, then send a monster you control to the graveyard, and if you do, you can special summon the targeted monster. So, yeah, make special summoning like a bit easier too. Next is 1 copy of the field spell, the very awesome looking Vampire Kingdom. That's Count Dracula's castle, basically, or Alucard's castle, or whatever you want to call him. Has the nice blood red moon just ominously in the sky behind it. This effect gives all zombie monsters 500 attack during the damage calculation, and also once per turn if this card is sent. If a card is sent from your opponent's deck to the graveyard, you can target 1 card on the field and send 1 dark vampire monster from your hand or deck to the graveyard, and then destroy the card you choose. So, yeah, this card works really well in combination with, like, Vampire Lord's effect. And with the 500-point boost to all your zombies and vampires, with the exception, I guess, of Vampire Hunter, Vampire Kingdom's a pretty awesome field spell to have for a deck like this. Another card actually compliments of Tillamook. She had an overpowering eye, which I think actually features her vampire's curse on the card artwork, which is pretty awesome. This card allows a zombie with 2,000 less attack to attack directly during the turn this card is played. Next card is, I just kind of put this in here because Vampire Fraulein is an artwork. It's 1 copy of Blackout Curtain. It's just really interesting card, and I just think Vampire Fraulein is kind of pretty. So, this card's effect is If a card you control would be destroyed by battle or an opponent's card effect, you can destroy this card instead of one of those cards. And if a card your opponent controls will be destroyed by a battle or card effect, you can banish this card from the graveyard instead of one of those cards. I can't really see a scenario where the second option would be that useful, but maybe if you just want to keep attacking your opponent's monster, I guess. I don't know. I just put it here because Fraulein is on the card. One copy of Book of Life to make summoning high-powered vampire, my higher-powered vampires, quite a bit easier. I have one cost down. Also works with dumping a card to the graveyard for its cost. So, to the trap cards now. We have one Vampire Awakening. It lets you special summon one vampire monster from your deck, but it's destroyed at the end phase. But yeah, you can probably make a pretty good play off of that, even if you just attack with it. And I have ways, obviously, to get monsters back in this deck. So one copy of Vampire Domination. Again, you see Blood Red Moon in this artwork. Its effect is when a spell shop card or monster effect is activated while you control a vampire monster, you can negate the activation and destroy that card. And if it was a monster card that was destroyed, you can gain life points equal to its original attack points. So, yeah. Nice way to get back life points to keep using your vampire cards, and a nice negation effect too. Uh, uh, Next, one copy of Vampire Takeover. You can see Vampire Sorcerer on this card's artwork. He propped up like some kind of scarecrow, I guess. Also, you can see the Blood Red Moon in the background there. Nice. What Vampire Takeover does is if you have no cards in your field zone, it'll play some monsters you control as zombie type monsters. So this card won't work, sadly, if Vampire Hunter's on your field. You can activate one Vampire Kingdom directly from your deck and special summon one Dark Vampire monster from your graveyard into defense position. So, a pretty nice card. Next card is one Grinning Grave Virus. Nick actually told me earlier this card kind of looks like a Crush card, combined with the monster on Grave Robber. I kind of agree. This card's effect is pretty nutty, actually. You tribute a dark monster with 3,000 or less attack, and then your opponent destroys one card in their hand for every 500 attack that monster had while it was on the field. And if you tribute a monster with 2,000 or more attack, you get to look at all cards your opponent draws until the end of their third turn after you activate this card and destroy all monsters among them. And additional effect is cards destroyed and sent to the graveyard by this card's effect can't activate their effects the turn they were destroyed. So just like I don't know. I guess I would say it's a more interesting version of the Crush Card Virus. And if you want, you could actually activate this, I believe, during your damage dip, so they would be boosted by like Vampire Kingdom to make like the damage a little more lethal. Lastly, for the main deck, 2 copies of Call of the Haunted. No explanation really there. It's just a nice spooky card. And it performs monsters, so I think it's fitting. I don't remember actually if Camila actually used that card. Maybe she did. Now into the 5-card extra deck. First we got the rank 6, 2600 attack point. Vampire Sheridan. Another card where you can see the entire sky is red here, and there's a nice spooky looking fence in the back. I dig this man's like hair and his like collar and his like entire get up actually. Very dapper. Is his name a pawn? I just noticed that his name might be a pawn. He takes 2 or more level 6 monsters. If you use a monster also with a level owned by your opponent, for the sum of this card, you can treat that monster as level 6, which is nice. And then you can just, once per turn, you can detach a material from this card, target 1 card your opponent controls, and send it to the graveyard. And once per turn, if a monster card is sent from the field to your opponent's graveyard by card effect, or a monster is destroyed by battle and sent to your opponent's graveyard, you can detach one material from this card, special summon one of those monsters to your field in defense position. So his effects can actually flow into each other, I guess, which is pretty nice. He only has 1,000 defense points, but he has 2,600 attack points. So under Vampire Kingdom, he actually becomes stronger than a regular Vampire Genesis, I guess, which is pretty cool. Next card is actually kind of disappointing in a way. I dig his armor, I guess. It's the 2,500 attack, but 0 defense point. Crimson Knight Vampire Bram. So why that defense is kind of disappointing is because of his effect, honestly. He takes exactly 2 level 5 zombie monsters. His effect is you can detach a material from this card, then target a monster your opponent's graveyard, special summon that target, but only that monster can attack for the rest of this turn. And then once per turn during your standby phase of the next turn after this card is destroyed by your opponent's card and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon it in defense position. But yeah, there's the problem. Basically, if he's special summoned during your turn in defense position, the opponent can just keep destroying him. So and with 0 defense points, without a way to block the attack, and I suppose he might be a good target for putting Grave Virus, I guess. But yeah, if you can't switch him back to attack mode, he might be just a sitting duck if your opponent can destroy him even once. But yeah, he might actually be a good target for running Grave Virus, I guess. Next card is just because I find her like adorable. Vampire Sucker. She has 16 in attack. She's a Link 2, which I don't know what that really entails. I don't know much about Link, so I'll have to study up on them, I guess. Her says 2 zombie monsters, so I'm guessing you can summon her if you have 2 zombie monsters on your field. I don't know if you have to sacrifice them or what, but yeah. Her effect is if you attribute a monster for a tribute summon, you can tribute a zombie monster your opponent controls, even though you do not control them. So her effect is pretty nice. Makes actually getting out your zombies like a lot easier by using your opponent's monsters. And you can only use each of the following effects of uh, Vampire Sucker once per turn. But these effects are: you can target 1 monster in opponent's graveyard and special summon to your opponent's field and defense position, but it becomes a zombie monster. I believe that can kind of like feed into her first effect though, so that's not like, terrible. And her second effect is if a zombie monster is special summoned from either graveyard or draw 1 card. So I don't know, her second effect like goes nicely into her other 2 effects when you drive in, which this deck kind of needs draw power. Second to last card here is one Vampire Fascinator. She's a nice level. She's a nice 2,400 attack points. She can target a monster your opponent's graveyard and special summon to your field in defense position, so the opposite of Vampire Sucker. You can't special summon for less the turn, though, except zombie monsters, so that's really only locks you out of special summoning Vampire Hunter, I guess, which isn't a big loss, I guess, unless you need him for some reason. Also, with her in the field, you can tribute 1 vampire monster, then target a monster your opponent controls and take control of it until the end phase. So yeah, it's again working into the whole theme of like vampires like possessing their opponents. I kind of wish she like switched to their attribute to zombie. It'd be nice if it was a vampire monster like that. And the last card in this deck is the zombie vampire. Pretty cool artwork, I guess. I can't really see the monster's face. Takes 2 level 2 or more level 8 monsters. Uh, his effect is actually his summoning conditions actually mimic Dampier Sheridan in that you can if you use a monster owned by your opponent, you can just treat its level as 8. So that's nice. His real effects are now the player can target this guy with effects of special summon monsters, except those special summoned from the graveyard. So my monsters in my yokai deck, like on Meraki, could actually take this guy out, which is funny. You can detach one material from this card. Each player sends the top 4 cards of their deck to the graveyard. Then, if any monsters were sent to the graveyard by this effect, you can special summon one of them to your side of the field. That's actually a really powerful effect. So if like you just happen to force your hunter to discard like a blue eyes or something, or make yourself discard like say Vampire Genesis. Well, I guess Vampire Genesis has like summoning restrictions, but if like a vampire like Vamp or something, you can just get it out, I guess, or like if your opponent has like say like a I don't know like I was saying like a blue eyes white dragon or something, just you know summon it to your field and just totally wreck them. So yeah, Vampire Vamp is probably my favorite monster in this deck. I love the way she looks. She's just really pretty, and I appreciate the blood mood like showing up on like multiple of these cards, and I love the Castlevania theming of most of them. Yeah, actually a little disappointed that What Is a Man scene was apparently removed in the remaster of Symphony of the Night, so that kind of stinks. It just goes right into the boss battle with Dracula, I guess, which I don't know. Also, like a boss battle with no cutscene is kind of lame. So yeah, if I play the game, I might have to somehow like track down like an original copy of the game, like not remastered. That might be hard and expensive, but yeah. Or just like maybe I'll play the remaster, but just like play the cutscene for myself just on the internet, like right before I head into the battle. Yeah, that might be what I do. So yeah, that was my 40 card vampire deck. Let me know what's your favorite Castlevania game. I actually hear that the DS games are like really fun, so I might give those a try one day. If you have any other vampire like films for me to check out, do let me know. Or vampire manga even, or vampire anime, especially vampire like manga and anime. I'm actually like really into that stuff right now. So yeah, let me know if you have any recommendations for me. That said, this has been Serenity Spider Monkey, a game with Germain. Catch you later.